Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello and welcome back. I'm your hostess, Kristen, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Amber and Cindy.
Hello.
Hello.
So this week, we are talking about favorite nighttime routines. And previous podcasts, we had talked about morning routines and like Sunday routines. We've mentioned cleaning routines and facial care routines. And self-care routines. So I thought, this would be fun to talk about nighttime routines. One of the things that has shifted a little bit in past recent months is Travis and I have been making time for physical activity, like at the gym or like going for a walk after dinner. And with, Raina going back to school, I have to get up a little bit earlier. And so I've been really trying to get up at the same time every day, no matter what, because my work schedule, it's not the same. It's different hours every day. Some days are early, some days are late, and I really struggle. I'm a creature of habit and I need routine. And when there's change in my routine, it messes me up. And so with adding physical activity, working out the gym or something, I find myself going to bed a little bit earlier, and I was inspired to rehash out what my nighttime routine is. So I had a few questions for you guys, because I know that you are both also creatures of habit. And we like to talk about our neurodiversity and just what makes us all a little bit different and what our must-haves are and can't lives withouts and guilty pleasures and stuff. So, and by the way, welcome back, everybody, for another lovely podcast episode with us. Did you know that we've already been doing this for 2 years? I don't think we've mentioned that in any of our podcasts.
Right.
Lately.
We are past our 2 year mark.
November 1st was our 2-year mark, and every week I'm like, I forgot to say.
Yeah.
Happy 2 years. We are in season 3 because we started on November 1st of 2021, and we started off with talking about Christmas stuff.
Yeah, December Daily. Our first episode was about December
in
Daily.
November. And so we had first season 1 was short because we just wanted to give it a good go, and then start
fresh with the new year.
January 1st. So we're wrapping up season 3. So we'll have a few more episodes for this year, and then we already have plans for next year. So I just wanted to chime in on that because I was if I don't say something, I'm gonna forget, and it's gonna be season 5 before I remember again.
Right.
So, but anyways, so Amber and Cindy, what are must-haves before bed? What are things that you just absolutely must do, whether it's fun or serious, must-haves before bed?
Before I get in bed or
Whichever.
as I'm in bed or each night I guess is different. Most definitely.
So it'd be a must-have would be regardless where you
Regardless
are or when you fall asleep or whatever.
what what I like to keep by my bedside, of course, is water, and I like to sip on water before I go to sleep. And I try to read my book before I go to sleep or work my crossword puzzles. And those are my 2 must-haves. And then I also like to do a nighttime lotion routine, on my arms and legs. With aromatherapy lotion.
Okay.
Bath and Body Works aromatherapy lotion. And I don't really have a huge routine to wind down from work. Jason and I usually throw on the TV show that we're currently watching, and then I might do some work from home, and then when I get in bed, I just like to curl up and I've been so exhausted lately, curl up and go to sleep. Sometimes I fall asleep reading.
I do that a lot.
Yeah, me every day. Yeah. What about you?
I'm weird, and a lot of my stuff sounds counterintuitive, but I do like to have a Coke before I go to bed at night. The caffeine does not keep me awake. I usually I don't get to do it in bed. I prefer to lay in bed and have my Coke and a little snack while I read. But my husband usually goes to bed before I do. So when that happens, I can't read in bed. So I have a recliner, and I like to sit in my recliner and have a little snack of nuts, usually mixed nuts, and my Coke Zero with lemon. And then I'll read for about an hour or so. And I usually have several Words with Friends games going on my phone, and I'll do a quick run through all my puzzles right before I go to bed. And that's mostly the only time I ever play that game is right before I go to bed. So I like to send a turn to all my opponents during that. And then once I've read for that hour and played my game, I can get in bed and I'm asleep in seconds after I get in bed. So my husband's always already asleep, so I come in the dark. And I usually use my phone as a flashlight and kind of keep it from shining on him. And I have a CPAP, and once I put that CPAP on and lay down in the bed, I just fall asleep immediately. Most nights. So it's a pretty simple routine. I have other things that start earlier in the evening that I do, that I've been trying to do, like shutting off because
those are they your must-haves?
No, they're not must-haves.
Because I got other questions.
They should be, but my must-haves is my Coke. That is my big must-have.
Right.
And that's because I limit myself to one Coke a day usually, unless I go to Sonic, but that's another story entirely.
Like almost every day. No,
I'm not that often. No.
So, my must-have is the same as yours. I am also a late night snacker, and I always want a snack after around 10 o'clock or so. I'm like, ooh, I want my midnight
snack before I go to bed. I'm the opposite of y'all. I like to just lay in bed and sip water.
See, my dad always snacked. He was a bedtime snacker. He would have my
mom,
crackers
and grandma
milk.
did too. But
yeah.
I've always been. I even remember being a kid at my grandma's house. Either grandma's, didn't matter. I always wanted a bowl of cereal or
something. Yeah,
something.
Always
a snack.
And I think the snack helps me stay awake to read, because if I start reading that close to at bedtime, I will fall asleep if I don't have that snack. So,
see, I think the only time I usually eat a snack late at night would be if I'm laying in bed and I'm I can't fall asleep because I'm hungry, my stomach's rumbling, and then I'll go and I do keep some nuts by the bedside in case that happens, or I'll get up and go to the fridge and grab a protein bar or something like that, or a stick of cheese.
I used to eat bad food like Cheez-Its or Chex Mix. Whatever I snack on, it has to be crunchy, salty, and hand to mouth. And I think mine stems probably from my days as a smoker, because I always drank a Coke and smoked a cigarette before bed when I was a smoker. I quit smoking in 2007. Best thing I ever did, and best thing I ever did for myself. But that habit of doing something with my hands while I read is still there. And so if I'm reading, I like to have something that I can just, back and forth movement. Something I don't have to think about doing.
I do like hot tea in the wintertime.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one at night. Hot tea. Hot tea with honey at night is always
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, I like hot tea. When I actually like with milk in it, that's really good. Hot tea with milk. But in the summertime, I do try not to drink the hot tea because then it makes me a little like
Sweaty.
sweaty. Yeah,
Yeah.
hot. It makes my face hot.
So that's like
And then
Jason's
it's hard to sleep.
nighttime routine is hot tea.
He likes tea.
Yeah, he
even
likes
in the
hot.
summertime.
Even in the summertime, he
Wow.
likes hot tea before he goes
Travis
to bed.
does not like tea, but that's my other must-have. Like I cannot go to bed without a drink by bed, and it's funny because I don't drink while I'm sleeping. And I don't drink when I wake up. I don't want the drink that's
Oh,
been
I
sitting
see.
there.
I like it immediately when I wake up. That's why
Yeah,
I keep a
if there's
drink by
water,
the bed.
I'll drink the bottled water when I
Yeah.
wake up. But if
I
it's
can't
anything
stand
else,
drinking anything else that's been sitting there all night.
well, bottled water doesn't like taste
Right.
weird or anything like that.
Well, I
after a
just
while, but-
immediately like have to have a drink when I wake up. Like
Yeah.
my throat might be dry.
Well, that's my
or
first
just-
thing. Is
But I feel
getting
really
up, I get
insecure
coffee.
going to bed without the drink there. And
Yeah.
I like drinking
Me-
before I go to bed. So whenever I drink and my drink is gone, then I actually have to get up and go get more drink.
Right.
Because I can't go to sleep without
My Coke.
a drink.
I
It's so
usually
weird.
leave. I take the Coke with me to bed after I've been reading. After I've been reading in the other room, I'll take the Coke to bed with me, and so that there's enough that I can take another drink right before I go to sleep. But there's still a drink in the glass in case I wake up in the middle of the night and need something to drink. And it's not pleasant. It's there for emergencies. But I always leave that last little drink of
And see, that's what I like to have is wake up in the middle of the night if I need a drink or if I'm like
Right.
coughing or something
Yeah.
or parched throat. I like to have that drink.
I do drink hot tea also all year long. It's not a must have, but it is part of my nighttime routine. Is every night I drink some herbal tea before my Coke, and that kind of helps.
Yeah. Yeah, nighttime routines is anything after dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying
Dinner
before.
and
There are
beyond,
other
yeah.
things. There are other parts of my
Yeah.
nighttime routine that aren't must-haves.
Right.
That-
well, my
that-
question was, what are
What are
your
the
must-haves
must-haves?
before
Yeah.
bed?
My
So I
must-have
have other
before bed.
questions
Yeah.
though
Oh,
for
okay.
you. So,
Okay.
anything that you forget commonly that,
To
before
wash my
bed.
face. To wash my
Right.
face.
Oh
That's-
my
I never wash my
gosh,
face.
every day to wash my face. Yeah.
If I have makeup on, I usually do remember to wash my face.
That is the worst.
Because it
You're just
bugs
like
me.
zombie dead tired, and you crawl into bed. You already got your pajamas on, and you
and then
took
you're
off
like,
your
oh,
earrings.
my makeup.
And then you're like about to fall asleep, and you're like, "Oh my god, I have makeup on."
Yes. Oh, I already know because when I start getting tired,
Oh,
the-
it's usually like in
it's
my eyes.
bothering me, so I
Yeah.
have to go take it off. But if I don't have makeup on, that's when I forget to wash my face. Usually, yeah. I'm
Well-
bad about it. I'm really bad about it.
I guess mine would be the usual. Take my contacts out, brush my teeth, wash my face if I don't forget. And then, like I do the aromatherapy lotion.
So that's what you usually forget to is washing your face.
Oh,
Because that's
yeah.
probably the one thing I forget.
And
to
then-
do.
I forget
Yeah.
to put lotion on too.
Yeah,
I
the
have-
lotion and the face probably I forget the most.
I have the bottle of lotion right there beside my bed, and I have a like a chapstick or a Vaseline lip care, right there by the bed. And it's supposed to be part of my routine. I try to remember it, but a lot of times I'm just so tired by the time I get to that point, I forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's typical. Yeah, me too. Same thing.
When do you start your routine? Before bed. Your bedtime routine. Not just your nighttime routine.
Newly, I have started. I'm a night owl, and I've been trying to change that to be not so much of a night owl. So my newer routine is because I work long hours, and I often catch myself working late into the night, and then not having any self-care time. So I've been trying to, about 9 o'clock at night, shut the work off and start my evening wind down. But that evening wind down includes
Reading and such.
well,
So I'm
reading
in
or watching
bed at
TV,
9:00.
watching TV, or doing some sort of craft, something creative, or something that I enjoy doing. It honestly, it could be something like editing a podcast or working on a blog. But those are pleasant things to me. They're pleasurable. And I count those among my me time because it's something I enjoy doing. And it's not every night either. So, after 9:00, that's me time. And that's when my personal time starts. And after I've done like a couple of hours of that or whatever, then I can, go read, take my bedtime medications, make my Coke, whatever. Drink my tea. I usually drink my tea before I head to my recliner. I might do that while I'm editing that podcast or working on the artwork or whatever I'm doing. So, yeah.
I guess I probably start winding down around 9 as well. Like normally, Jason and I don't really stay up past, or we usually watch TV. I guess our nightly TV show until 9. And then we start getting ready for bed. And so by 10, I try to be asleep. If some nights I'm awake until 11 reading or whatever, but I try to be asleep by 10, mainly because I have to leave for work now at 5:45 in the morning.
Well, and I did that as well when I worked in an office when I was younger. I had kids. I had to get up at 5 or 6 in the morning and get kids ready for school and and get to the office.
I wake up at 4:30.
I was in bed and asleep by 10:00. But after the kids were old enough to put themselves to bed or whatever, I really am naturally a night owl. I always have been, even when I was younger.
Me too.
So,
and then now I have to get up so early.
Yeah. I will stay up all night and I'll look up and it'll be 6 a.m. and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still awake. I need to go to bed. So that's why I've started doing that downtime starting earlier just to
She
get
forgets
myself.
to go to bed. That's
I
part of
forget to
her
go to
nighttime
bed. I
routine.
really do.
Yeah.
I do because I'll get so engrossed in something I don't want to stop. So,
Well, so I used to start getting ready for bed at midnight. And I've noticed, because I have an iPhone, that you kind of tell it when you want to go to sleep and when you want to wake up. And your phone will kind of remind you hey, it's starting to get time for bed. And it was weird because then I started working late and it was I just got off work. It's time for bed, and so then I kind of shifted after working all those years to try to go to bed like a normal person. Then I started staying up late again. And then now I'm back to trying to shift it back to earlier.
It's really hard to shift your schedule.
It's been a lot easier. The past few months, I found it's easier to go to bed at nighttime because I'm telling myself I don't have to do everything.
Right.
And just do the things that that I need to do.
Right.
And just make myself do those things. And by the time I'm done with those, I'm yeah, I'm ready to go to bed. So, we've been working on doing the dishes every night. So that's when our nighttime routine starts, is with dinner. So, we do get to eat dinner usually at 7:30 together. That's when I get off work. So I'm usually the last one in, but I eat small, so I'm pretty quick, and Raina takes forever to eat. So we usually end up being done eating around the same time. And then, Raina gets a little bit of free time before bed. And we've actually got her helping us, put the dinner away and wash the dishes and stuff. She's learning how to be a part of that together with us. And that's actually pretty new. Before, it was one person washed the dishes and everyone else kind of scrammed.
Yeah.
But now it's hey, if we all just do the dishes really quick, it's really fast. So that's what we started doing the dishes together, putting the food away. We have lunch to pack sometimes. Travis takes his lunch to work. I usually pack up like a meal. Now we're doing a little bit of like special dieting, so we're prepping like certain type of meal every day, like kind of weighing stuff out. So we're putting a little bit more intention on our meal prepping for the next day. And so that takes a little bit more attention. And then, Travis puts Raina to bed. He reads to her every night before bed. That is like their thing. She goes to bed, and that's something that's new is now we're like, oh, wow, dishes are done. We can go watch TV, and we'll crawl in bed, let the dogs out one last time, hop in our pajamas, and crawl in bed. And we may sit, in the bed for a little while watching TV, until he falls asleep. And then it's like, okay, now I can read, And so I've been actually enjoying that. I was never one to, like, want to spend, like, every night in bed, But I feel like I fall asleep a little bit faster now because, like, boom, I'm ready to sleep instead of, like, running around the house, like, until I'm, like, bone dead tired. So that's kind of, like, how we started our nighttime routine. Any guilty pleasures? I know we kind of talked about some, like your soda and snacking in bed, but any other guilty pleasures of part of your nighttime routine?
Well, it's not really a part of my nighttime routine, but I do occasionally, if I get in bed and I am not able to fall asleep right away, I like to turn on Instagram and scroll.
I was about to say TikTok, probably scrolling TikTok or looking at books on my book bucket list on Amazon, because I know we talked about last week our bucket list, and Kristen called me out and said, "You have a book bucket list." Yes, I like to shop for future books right before bed.
And mine's mostly puppy videos, which Kristen can attest because I send a lot of them to her.
Right,
cat videos.
Usually funny ones, cat videos. I send Amber cat videos. Yeah, they're funny.
I do like to watch the food videos. Also, before bedtime, like to get ideas, especially the baking videos for future baking projects I want to do.
I like to wrestle with the dogs in the bed.
Oh, okay.
So, like, they all climb up in the bed because my guilty pleasure is I like sleeping with my doggies in my bed. And I know some people are like, oh my God, that's terrible. And other people are like, yes, puppies in the bed.
Hey, I sleep with 4 cats in the bed and a dog, so.
Yeah. So I love whenever the dogs get in the bed and we play, like, wrestle with the blanket, and I'll put my hand under the blanket and they, like, bite my hand. I love that. It's like, okay, it's your last hoorah before bed. And I think that drives Travis nuts because the dogs get, like, really hyper. And then they chill out and go to sleep.
Right.
So that's kind of one of my guilty pleasures. And then I also have a Gobstoppers box. Not Gobstoppers, Dots. A box of Dots and candy in my nightstand. Because every once in a while I want
Mine's my
some
nuts.
candy.
The bad thing that I like to do is to have the nuts and the Coke in bed. And on weekends, if I can beat him to bed, I will get in the bed and read. And if he comes to bed, too bad, so sad. I was here first. And it drives him crazy because I'm sitting here crunch, 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 crunch. And he's like, I'm trying to sleep. But I was here first.
Do you track anything or any of your nighttime routines? Do you use your tracker to track them?
I do. I track my reading. I track whether I took me time. And, I track the amount of sleep I got.
Yeah, I was about to say that's all I do is track sleep. And, I mean, I track the books that I read, but not like how much I read at night.
I have a library thing, and I'll when I start a book, I log it, and then I'll log when I finish it. So, yeah.
That's cool. I like, I use this app called Coach Me, and it's basically like a habit builder app where the whole idea was you do a habit for 21 days, and you would pick the habit and then you would log it for those days, and everyone who was trying to track that habit would be in this little group together, and people would comment or ask questions and stuff. And then it kind of evolved into other things, but I had my entire life and routine on there, and like I think there was probably like 50 different things at one point that I was tracking, like everything, because we were talking about this earlier today. I love looking at data, and I liked looking at, well, how many times did I shave my legs this month, and how many times did I take my lunch to work, and how many times did I eat fish this week, and so every time I would do those things, I know that's very neurotic, but I would do that. I would track like all those things, and I still love using that app, and that was something really relaxing at the end of the day when I
like
used that app,
routines and like
going through and checking off all the things that I did.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I track other things, not so much of my nighttime activities, though.
Yeah.
I track a lot of my daytime. I track all of my meals. I track my blood sugar, my weight, my
That's
steps.
kind of like one of your routines in the morning.
That's
though.
part of my morning
Yeah.
stuff. So, and whether I read my tarot cards, which I do every day, and whether I meditated or prayed, and whether I exercise, there's a whole lot of things on. Whether I journaled,
I guess what I track the most would be money, like what I spend.
I also
on
track
what.
my spending.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's my biggest thing, biggest data thing that I track. I like to look at different trends
Before
in
you
my
go to bed?
spending. Sometimes actually that
Mine's-
is something.
Yeah, mine's usually at
I
the end of the
usually
week.
do it when I wake up in the morning, like look through my bank account or whatever, or look and see what bills might have come out. But yeah, I do that at least once a day.
Yeah, I don't
Track.
I don't necessarily track all of my spending, but I track everything that I think of as frivolous. Yeah.
I'm very neurotic
Okay,
about
but not your
tracking my
nighttime
spending.
routine.
But not
no,
at
it's
nighttime, no.
No.
I'm like, that's not nighttime. That's not your nighttime routine.
I think I've talked about
I saw
everything that
that.
I've done at
Yeah.
night. I think I've.
Amber
much.
goes to sleep. She goes like this.
No, honestly, like
We have pictures.
I don't
And
have
videos
pictures
to
of her.
prove
She
it.
doesn't even get under the covers. She just sleeps on top
No,
of the
really,
blanket.
I don't.
She
I
doesn't.
don't sleep under the covers. At
There's
my
a
own
video
house.
of us from our first recording session that we did, and Amber went in to write her blog, and she fell asleep on the bed.
I can fall asleep in any situation. We were on the Zoom meeting a couple of nights ago, us three talking about wedding stuff, and I fell asleep during that. I get so exhausted at work that
Yeah.
I have fallen asleep on the drive home from work.
Oh, shoot. That's
I
not
know.
good.
I've fallen asleep like after the kids have left, and I'd sit down at my desk, and I've fallen asleep at my desk at work because I'm so exhausted.
Well, I have fallen asleep in my chair, in my recliner,
but yeah, I can
when I'm
sleep
reading, too.
pretty much anywhere if I'm
Yeah,
tired
I've fallen
enough.
asleep at the kitchen table before.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, I've fallen asleep in front of my computer, too.
Oh, I do that at least
In
once a week.
college, I had an 8 a.m. computer class, and I used to fall asleep typing for
Oh,
that computer class.
I have fallen asleep on my computer so many times, and I wake up and it's, you keep your index fingers on the J J J J J J J J J J J J J. It's like, oh crap, I did that, didn't I?
But yeah, I usually fall asleep before I even finish whatever routine that I have going on.
That's funny. Yeah, I as far as like doing like the exact same thing every night, like yes, I do like to read, but usually before I read, I like to play around on my phone, and sometimes it's a game, sometimes I'll watch YouTube videos, sometimes TikTok, sometimes we'll be watching like a movie and then I'm like playing my game because I don't really have to look at my game. And then sometimes I read, but then like if I can't sleep and I'm like I need to go to bed and like I'm tired but I'm not falling asleep reading, like I could keep reading but I know it's time to go to sleep, I will put my book down and then I'll put like something on, like YouTube has like some meditation kind of videos that you can listen to, and I just turn my phone upside down because that's the one thing that kind of sucks. It's YouTube. If you close your phone, it turns off the video, so I'll have to turn it upside down. But I'll put my little earbuds in, and then I'll tell my phone to go to sleep after like 30 minutes or whatever, and I'll put that in, and I can fall asleep to that pretty easily. And that's become a pretty common routine because Travis sleeps with his mouth open. He doesn't really snore. I just can hear him.
You can
breathing.
hear him breathe.
Yeah.
Mark does that a lot too.
So does Jason.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he falls asleep instantly.
Oh
Yeah.
my
If
God,
anyone knows
I'm so
my husband,
jealous
he
of
falls
that.
asleep.
He can fall asleep anywhere.
At
anywhere.
any time of day, any time of
Holding
day.
his phone like he's reading his phone, and
that's
asleep.
usually what he does. Is he falls asleep holding his phone in like a coffin position or something, with all the lights on.
But he's sleeping so lightly that if you say anything, he's like wide awake. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not asleep.
Right. So what I do is I've found that I sleep a lot better if I'm not falling asleep. I have to put the headphones in and listen to something that will put me to sleep.
Right.
But I always, like when I was a kid, I used to fall asleep listening to music, like on the radio. So I enjoyed that.
I think it's interesting that you say you read and then you play your game or whatever. Or no, you play your game and then you read. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do the opposite because if I play my games or if I scroll before I read, I won't
Put your phone down to read.
put my phone down to read. And
Sometimes that happens.
or when I start reading, I'm so tired by the time I get to reading that I fall asleep and can't read as much as I want to. So I've been trying to train myself to not pick up the phone until after I've read however far I feel like I should read, like a chapter or whatever, for an hour, or read for an hour, and then I can pick up the phone right before I go to bed and just do those 2 quick or 3 quick puzzles or whatever it is, and then go to bed.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes I'll be on my phone scrolling and I'll start to get really sleepy, but then I'm like, oh, I should put my phone down. I'm falling asleep. And as soon as I lay my phone down, I'm wide awake.
that happens to me too.
And so then I have to read.
When I go to
Even if-
bed, because I'm reading in the living room, by the time I get to bed, get my pajamas on, do all my bedtime routine there, and get in the bed, I'm wide awake.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I like to read in bed, because I can just shut the light off, lay the book down, and sleep.
Right. I actually always liked reading in bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Travis and I when he moved in with me, I was like, oh, because he goes to bed really early.
Uh-huh.
And so this actually brings me into my next question anyways. So, I was like, well, I'll go read in the living room while he's falling asleep. But then he was like, oh, well, I want to be in the living room. So then it was like, well, I can't read while you're watching TV. So then I would go to the bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
And then he would fall asleep watching TV in the living room. And then I was in the room by myself. And then I was like, oh, I get the bed to myself, because then I could never get him out of the chair.
Yeah.
So we did this song and dance for a long time, and we finally figured it out. Like, okay, he's going to sleep regardless of whether I have the light on or not.
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't mind. He just wants to be in the same room with me.
Right.
So I'm like, whatever, let's go in the room.
Mark falls
You watch
asleep
the TV.
too. While I'm, if I make it to bed before he does and he comes in, he falls asleep immediately. But he doesn't like it if I read in bed. And if he's already asleep, I'm not going to turn the light on and wake him up.
Right.
So that I can read. So
Well, and the nice thing about reading on my phone, like on the Kindle, is that I don't need the light, but I had been reading a paperback book, and I think that's also probably why it's taken me so long to read. Actually, it's a hardback book, but because you have to have the light on for that. And as I was reading it, I was like, why am I reading this book? It's so archaic. Because it's like you have to have a light on.
I like books though,
enjoy it,
and
though.
and I have reading lights, but even that little bit of light will wake him up. So even if I turn my phone on or if I take my iPad to bed with me and I'm doing something there, I will turn the light down way, 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 way low and put it on night mode, the night shift mode or whatever, so that it's yellow light.
Yeah.
And just get it as dark as I possibly can, because that little bit of light will wake him up. So,
Yeah.
but he will fall asleep. If I'm sitting there reading with the light on, he will fall asleep and start snoring.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why the light turning on while he's already asleep wakes him up, but it does.
So Amber, with you newly moved in with Jason, I know you're like not really newly moved in, but it's been in the past 6 months. So have you found that there was any changes with your nighttime routine with Jason? I mean, you guys both get up really early though, so.
No, there really hasn't been. I think I probably go to sleep earlier now because Jason gets up even earlier than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I guess we both get up around 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
So usually he's like passed out by 9:30 at the latest, and I take a little bit longer. So, but the light or nothing bothers him. He can sleep in any situation. So
Yeah, he also has fallen asleep on our couch.
Every time he comes over, he falls asleep.
Every
he fell
time he
asleep
comes
at the
over,
dinner table at my house one time. They came over for dinner, and then him and Travis were both, Amber and I were talking, and him and Travis were just, Travis closes his arms together, and he ducks his head, and then Jason is over there, like, falling asleep, and I was just like, oh my
I know
God,
they're
Amber.
kind of the same
Two
person.
peas in a pod.
Yeah. Well, and they both get up around 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. Travis has to be at work at 5. So I think also for me, because Travis goes to bed earlier, I've been more inclined to go to bed earlier too. So I've actually found myself in bed by like 10 o'clock. So that's our new goal, is in bed by 10:30. And I've been trying to go to sleep by 11. And I feel like the night is really long when I do that, because by the time 10 o'clock, 11 comes around, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been awake for so long. But when I was running around the house going, I need more time, the time went by fast.
Right.
And I felt like I didn't get much done. So I think it's just maybe just my mental shift.
Maybe.
But it's been nice so far. I've enjoyed it.
That's
and I've
good.
been waking up earlier, too. I've actually been beating the alarm clock and waking up at 6:30 instead of 7 for the past couple of weeks now, which is kind of annoying. And part of it is my sciatic nerve also waking me up. But
that's not
that's
really annoying. But
that is annoying in the morning. Like, I usually wake up around 2 a.m. because of that. Yeah. Old age coming in hot.
Any other questions I didn't think of that?
No, not that I know.
Oh, I guess the age-old question: to fan or not to fan?
Oh, absolutely fan.
Fan
Yeah.
noise.
Yeah.
Has to have the noise.
That used to bother me. I could not I grew up in the country. There's no traffic noise, there's no light, there is nothing. And I grew up, when I moved into the city, it was like, I need it dark. I need it quiet. I got to figure out how to make it dark and quiet. And the older I get, and the longer I've lived in the city, and of course, hot flashes didn't help. I found that I had to have the fan on and just to keep me cool. And it drove me crazy at first because I didn't like the sound. The sound kept me awake. But now I find that if I turn the fan off because I'm cold, all the noises bother me because I hear more noises that I'm not used to hearing anymore.
Okay, I guess that that kind of takes me back to the question you asked me about Jason and I moving in together, because before I moved in with Jason, I had to have it pitch black. Mm-hmm. I could not sleep with it.
You grew up in a small town, and it's
without
darker.
it being super cold and pitch black.
Yeah.
And Jason has his like living room and outside lights and stuff like that on a timer
Oh yeah.
to go with his security system. So plus we live in like not the best neighborhood. So I get so the idea is if there's a light on, then there's probably somebody home or awake, so nobody would want to mess with the house. So he keeps one of the living room lights on, and I don't like to go to sleep with a closed bedroom door. I like to be able to hear if like somebody's coming in the house.
See, and I like that barrier.
Oh, and
knowing
with cats though, you have to have the door
with the
open
litter
with
box,
cats,
and stuff like
because
that.
they want in. Even if
Oh,
the
yeah.
litter box isn't there, they want to be
Yeah.
able to be free.
Yeah.
For me, I can't stand not having the door closed. I want
No,
the door
I
closed.
have
I
to
want that
have-
privacy. I want that barrier between me and anyone who might break into my house.
No, I want to like be warned ahead of time, and I want
That's
like,
what my
the
dog's
free,
for.
the free flow. Well, I have a dog too, but I want like the free flowing like air through the room. It's a claustrophobia thing. I don't like to sleep with doors closed. I really, and this is bad, don't like to go to the bathroom with doors closed either, but I don't like to go to the bathroom with somebody in the house with a door open, you know what I mean? So that's something that I have to deal with, but I don't even like to have my classroom door closed, even though we have to for for security reasons. But like I like the openness, to see every angle coming. So that is something that I've had to adjust for, is like the security system of the house, just having that light on. And like we changed the position of the bed in the bedroom to where I lay and I'm like facing away from the door now. And so the light doesn't bother me anymore. So it's just an adjustment.
I never liked having the lights on, but I also like, and this has always been like the conundrum for me, because I like the low light mood lighting. Like I've always loved having like cool lights in my room, like Christmas lights or something. And that's kind of like a wind down process for me, is I like having just like a lamp on or a mood light or something for like an hour or so before I go to sleep. So during that reading time or whatever, where it just gets a little bit darker, but then I do like really pitch black. And for the longest time, I had to have like blackout curtains.
Oh yeah, me too.
But I
don't even like alarm clocks for that very reason, because
right.
they glow.
And a lot of
I
times
can't
I
do
turn
alarm
I
clocks.
can only do red alarm clocks, red color one.
Oh, yeah,
I
'cause they
can't
don't shine
see
as
that one
bright,
very
yeah.
well. Yeah, but
I'd always have to face them down.
I do that too. Yeah.
or
or
put a
face it
tape
towards
or
the wall.
like a tape,
But
like a curtain
the
thing over
problem is I need to be able to see what time it is, because I have this weird paranoia. Like if I can't see what time it is while I'm sleeping, I'll wake up constantly wanting to know what time it is. So weird.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to have to get my phone and look at it, because then it'll wake me up too much.
Yeah, the
So,
light of the phone.
Yeah, I have an alarm clock way on the other side of the room, and it kind of faces different direction, so it's not like shining in my face. But I've actually learned to fall asleep with a little bit of light on,
I'm better at it now than I was
just
before.
a little bit, yeah. And one of the things that always, like I said, drove me crazy, Travis would fall asleep anywhere, anytime, and he would like fall asleep with the lights on. Like I'll come home from this podcast, because we're recording late tonight, and I'll get home and it'll probably be like 1:00 in the morning, and the kitchen, the living room, the dining room, like
the lights
the
will be on.
bathroom, all the lights will be on. Every single, the garage will have the light
Oh
on.
my gosh, Jason's the same way.
Yeah, and Travis leaves
Seriously.
like the back porch light on. He just falls asleep, and then it's like, okay. So that's one of my routines too, is because I can't
yeah.
go to sleep
I'm the
knowing
door
that,
locker and light shutter.
that all the lights are on. Like that bothers me. Like why leave it on? So I'll go around the house and turn on.
Well, it's more
turn off all the lights.
electricity conscious too.
Yeah.
When you're like,
Yeah.
that is one
I
thing.
go around turning the lights off all day. So
Yeah. And then we have 2 lights that are on timers. One of them turns off at 10:30, and the other one turns off at midnight. And it's funny now, because now I'm going to bed before that one turns off. So I was thinking about having it turn off sooner. And the reason
Yeah.
I had it was because I like to be able to go in the kitchen and get my midnight snack without having to turn all the lights on.
Oh, right.
It's like a dining room light
Uh-huh.
that, we pass right through. And now I'm like, well, dang, we're not eating, at midnight, so I don't need the light on at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Food for thought.
So yeah, the
Lights for that.
one living room light goes off at 6 a.m. So it's going off as I'm leaving for work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it's on like the whole time while you're sleeping. It's like a lamp or?
Yeah, it was just like a little corner lamp just to illuminate the room.
Yeah. So that's kind of like what ours is, but it goes off.
Well,
Now
we
I do.
have a,
I have
camera
Scentsy
in that
warmers
room,
that
I
have
guess.
lights in them, and so those are in some of those rooms. They stay on all
and
the
you
time.
know what? I had one that I loved. I got it for my bedroom, and then I brought it home, and it was like, oh, it has a light in it. I'll never be able to use this while I'm sleeping. I'll just have to turn it on and off,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And then I was like, one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can fall asleep with this. Hasn't been a problem. And
Yeah.
I haven't had an issue with not being able to sleep with the light on.
See,
Yeah.
I did
Since then,
used to
and
do
it's
that at my
nice.
apartment. When I lived alone, I would leave the Scentsy light on in the bathroom all night. That way there would be some kind of light.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I leave one in my hall bath on that stays on most of the time, but in my bathroom I don't. But I used to. The light bothered me so much that even having my toothbrush plugged in the bathroom with the door open to the bathroom bothered me. So I would have to close the bathroom door
Yeah.
when my toothbrush was charging so that I wouldn't see that flashing light.
Right. And I always closed the bathroom door because there was a porch light, my neighbor's porch light or something
Would shine through,
glow
yeah.
through the bathroom light, and I would just close the door
Yeah.
I used to have like
because
a
it made the
piece
toilet glow.
Oh,
of
yeah.
cardstock or whatever taped over like my VCR and taped
Uh-huh.
over my stereo so
Yep.
that wouldn't glow in the house at
Mhm.
night because the light bothered me so much.
Yeah.
So, I guess we're growing and learning to
Adapt.
adapt to
Right.
the light.
In
I still can't fall asleep with the
weird
TV on
routines.
though.
I can't either. And
Like
if
there's too
somebody-
much flashing, too much
If somebody
noise.
turns the
Yeah.
TV on right before I go to bed, it will keep me up for a while afterwards.
Yeah.
So my husband loves to watch Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, or whatever before he goes to sleep a lot, and it makes me crazy.
And growing up, my dad he kept the TV on all night. He would, but he had at different hours than we did. But I remember whenever my mom was in the hospital, and my dad would sit up with her, he'd watch like war movies while she was trying to sleep in the hospital.
wow.
And my mom would just be like, turn that off, But I just I can't stand like the flashing of the TV when I'm trying to
Yeah.
sleep. Like if I'm asleep and the TV gets
Well,
turned
there's
on,
noise
then I wake
too.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst is the infomercial where they keep playing the same clip and sound over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
Or when you fall asleep watching a DVD and then it goes back to the home screen and
Oh,
it
yeah,
plays
and it's
like the
playing that,
sound over and over again.
and over, yeah.
And then, like, after 30 minutes, you're like, fine, I'll get up and turn it off. I don't think I can stand this any longer.
Especially if you like have a DVD player without a remote or you lost the remote or something, then you have to get up out
Uh-huh.
of bed. And
Yeah. So, one last weird one for, I know your answer, but
Yeah.
do you have your own blankets or do you share a blanket?
Okay, so Jason, and since moving in with Jason, we have been sharing the blanket. Whenever he used to stay at my place, at my apartment, we slept with separate blankets because like you're talking about, sleep on top of the covers with just a little blanket over me. And I actually bought this nice comfy duvet with an insert and stuff like that, and it is a very nice, soft, comfy blanket. So I have been sleeping under the blanket. Not the bed sheet. I will not sleep under a bed sheet. I don't like it
Can't
gets
stand not
tangled.
to be in the sheets.
I know.
I can't sleep in a
and
sheet.
My mom and dad have always shared the same blanket. Like,
Well, but we do, but we don't. We have sheets and blankets that are shared on the bed, but over the years, it's gotten to where, like when I was younger, I was cold all the time, and he was hot all the time. And then now it's kind of reversing that. So he's cold all the time and I'm hot all the time. So we have shared blankets and then we have extra blankets that are not shared so that we can take them on and off individually.
See, I'm cold all the time and Jason's hot all the time. So I do have my little extra throw blankets.
Yeah, it's like
that
a
I'll
little
throw
throw,
over
like a
me,
little
yeah.
fleece blanket or something. And so we each have our own little fleece that goes over the regular light blanket that's on the bed. So, yeah.
So whenever Travis was living with just Raina over at my in-laws' house, Travis had a king-size Scarface blanket that was like a extra double thick fleece. It's a really soft blanket, but it's like king-size, huge. And he was
And
like,
Scarface.
yeah, it's Scarface. Tony Montana or whatever his name is.
Hi, Sophie.
So he goes, this is going to look really nice on your bed. And I was like, no, it's not.
The heck it is.
And I was like, I have a beautiful comforter. Like, when I got a queen size bed, you know, as a young adult woman, I was like, I have a grown up bed now. I want to have pretty pillows and, you know, all
Not
the.
a Scarface cover?
Right?
What?
And, like, I take pride and joy in having, like, a matching bed sheet set. And, like, every year I get a new one in a new theme or color and, you know, kind of, like, decorate my room in that theme. And Travis, like, wanting to put, like.
Scarface.
But my room was also very neutral. Like, I kind of, like, moved out of, like, the posters and stuff and wanted just the kind of neutral room. And so then he wants to bring Scarface in, and I'm like, nah, this guy can't be in the bed. So he's like, okay, I guess I'll leave it in the living room. But then he starts sleeping in the living room. So I'm like, he wants that blanket. That's really what it is. So he wanted Tony Montoya more than me. Right? Right? So I'm like, say hello to your little friend over there. Don't put that crusty blanket in my bed because it's like old. He's had it for like 10 years. So I'm like, okay. Then now we're sleeping like on the regular cycle and normal bedtime, and Scarface comes into the room. We were sharing the blanket, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm going to sleep on this blanket. And this guy is laying on top of my blanket.
Oh.
With his blanket.
Oh.
And I was like, this isn't working because I'm over here like
Trying to
pulling
get your
on the
blanket back on your side of the bed, right?
Yeah, and his butt's like weighing it down, and then I got dogs also that want to lay in between us.
That's one of the reasons we had the split blanket, you know, between us, because hubby would lay on the blanket and I would be over here freezing because he was laying on
hot,
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, we were doing really good at like making our bed every day and, you know, keeping the pillows like nice on the bed. And now we got Scarface in here. We have a queen size bed with a king size blanket on it. And so I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? And then it just dawned on me one day. I was like, why don't we just fold our blankets up when we're done instead of making the bed? Because he gets out of bed at like 4 a.m. and sometimes I get out of bed at like 10.
Right.
And we're like, he's coming and I'm going, right? So I'm like, okay, what's a better deal here? Because I shouldn't have to make his bed all the time.
Right.
With his blanket.
Right.
Now I have 2 blankets to make the bed with. So I looked at him and I was like, why don't you just sleep with your blanket and I'll sleep with mine? And I've had the best sleep since because I'm a cocoon. I've always
you're like a little burrito rolled up in your blanket.
I twist the blanket up in my feet, and I realized like half the hard part of sleeping was not being able to twist my ankles up.
Uh-huh.
And hearing him breathe. So fix the breathing part. And now I got my own blanket back. And it's been so nice. And I was like, I wonder if other people do that. Like, and we just fold the blankets instead of trying to like lay it out on the bed. And,
Oh,
like,
yeah. We fold ours up at the foot of the bed usually.
See,
or
Jason
they hang on a quilt
likes
rack.
to sleep with the sheet, so he'll wrap up in the sheet, and I'll just sleep under the comforter because I don't like the sheet. I don't like the ankle around the ankle.
Oh, see, I like the
Tying me up.
sheets flat, like where I can like slide my leg side to side all the way across the
and
bed.
I don't like that. Yeah.
I want to be free to move in the bed,
Well,
but
see,
I want all the
I
sheets and
always-
blankets flat.
I feel like the top sheet tangles up on me, so I just sleep with a comforter.
See,
over
I'm
me.
just constantly, every time I move, I lift the covers and pull them up straight. So
No,
yeah,
I like
real
to do
flat.
this.
Yeah, you
Oh,
do.
I
You
can't-
do.
Sorry,
Mark,
guys, you
Mark
can't
kind of
hear
rolls
that,
up in
but
it a
I
little
like
bit.
to
She
make
just
like this like
curls.
scrunchy
She
up
just-
with my
she
arms
does.
and twist my feet up in it, and I sleep in a fetal position, and I got my pillows a certain way that I like them, and
Mhm.
Oh, that's something you didn't talk about was pillows.
I did
I
not.
have to have
I have
stacks
to have
and
like
stacks and
stacked
stacks
up,
of
propped
pillows.
up pillows. Yeah,
I have currently 5
and
pillows.
Jason sleeps flat.
Mark sleeps on one flat pillow, and I sleep on 5 all stacked up. Two, and then one that goes across both of them.
Yeah, I have a pillow at my feet that my baby cat likes to sleep on, and then like I have a backrest pillow, and then a nice fluffy pillow in front of that, and then a neck pillow.
Yep. I have, I do 2 stacked up pillows for my head. I have a flat pillow and then a gushy pillow on top.
Yeah, I sleep kind of mostly at an incline, but kind of, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I lay my head down, and my head like scooshes down into the pillow,
But I
but
want my neck
but
to be
it's
filled
supporting
up.
my neck, and
Neck
it's
and
supporting
shoulder.
my shoulders.
Yeah, I like the neck pillow around my neck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
if I don't have a neck pillow, I'll crunch up the blanket around my neck.
And what is the temperature of your room?
Ice cold.
Mine too.
Oh
I
my
like
gosh. And if it's not,
If I get
have
hot, I can't sleep.
the fan across the room, plus, it's ice cold in there. And then I have a mini fan on my side of the bed that if I need more fan, I turn it on.
I have a ceiling fan right above my bed.
That made me think of Saturday Night Live. Needs more cowbell.
Yeah, if I need more
Needs
fan.
more fan.
more fan.
Or
Well-
we're gonna need a bigger fan. Yeah.
They gave us an extra fan in our classroom last year, so I didn't take my classroom fan this year, so I just have it by my bed.
Ah,
So I can just turn it on and get that extra noise. I like it.
I do like the sound of fan.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like it to cover up the other sounds.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't
there's
like the
nothing
house
worse
sound.
than like laying in your pillow and hearing your heartbeat in your ear.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
like the
Up against like I think
tinnitus
it's like
in
my
the ear
temple or
sound.
something
Uh-huh.
like the blood in my
Uh-huh.
neck or something. One of these veins like thump thump
Yes, I don't like those.
drives me.
Or
crazy.
hearing the refrigerator running, or the water dripping, or the dog drinking water, or
the dog's like a
Which-
block away barking.
oh,
Yeah.
that too.
Well, like it's weird. Like somebody was talking about, having tinnitus or whatever, that noise that's in that ringing in your ears. And I didn't realize that's what it was, and like if I don't have the fan sound in my
Yeah.
classroom
To distract you from
or
Mhm.
anywhere, if I don't have that fan sound on, then yeah, my ears are ringing.
mine ring all the time.
So and it's like, oh well, I guess I do have that because I didn't realize what that was. I just like, I was just like, I need that white noise,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I thought the world just had this weird
Yeah,
high
the-
pitched
the little buzzy sound.
yeah.
But it's an actual thing. It's an actual, disorder.
Tinnitus. It's
Yeah.
actually, I found out it's called tinnitus.
Tinnitus, not tinnitus.
Not
okay.
tinnitus. I've called it tinnitus my whole life.
I
but
know
it's
the person who
tinnitus.
was talking about it to me called it tinnitus, and I'm like, I have that too. I have to have the fan noise in a quiet room,
Mhm.
And
or
see, I always
music
wondered if
playing
the
in a quiet
fan
room.
changed the air pressure, because isn't that part of it too? The air pressure.
Of the tinnitus,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of different things that can cause it, and it might not be your ears. It can be blood pressure
Yeah,
and other
high blood
things as well.
pressure can make it do-
And there's actually some studies that link it to dementia. So it could be a brain, something going on in your brain. There's, like I said, there's a lot of different causes of it. Some of it is from having loud noises, like
Mhm.
you go to a concert and it damages your ears.
Oh
at
yeah,
those
because
frequencies.
after a concert
Yeah.
or like going to the casino or
Right.
someplace like that.
Well,
I
and it
always
doesn't have to
hear-
be just loud sounds, and that's what I wonder if the fans can cause it, because anything where you have repetitive,
Constant sound also
repetitive sound
is not
can
good for your
cause
ears.
damage to your ears. So, could our preference for listening to the ceiling fan be part of the problem? I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't
It's
know.
the drug of choice.
Yeah.
Gives you relief, but also is bad
Yeah,
for you.
right.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't either.
Well, and that makes me wonder if there's other things I can do at nighttime to prevent that. Like
yeah.
lower my blood pressure, like not eat so much salt at dinner.
Yeah, I think it just entirely depends on what is the cause of
Yeah,
your
because
tinnitus.
sometimes I go to bed and I hear like it sounds like a helicopter.
Right. Well, and that's
And
where
I move and I'm like,
oh, that was my ear.
yeah, and then it goes away. And then as soon as I get really relaxed, it's like flop, 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 flop,
Yeah.
flop, 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 flop.
Um,
It's really annoying.
but yeah, that's definitely something you need to talk to your doctor about. And
So,
Yeah.
common causes are hearing loss
Mhm.
or ear infection or ear canal blockage,
mhm.
head or neck injuries,
Yep.
types of medications you take,
Yep.
and then other causes that are even deeper. You're talking about dementia, ear bone changes, Meniere's disease,
Meniere's, uh-huh.
Meniere's disease, tube dysfunction in your ear, muscle spasms in your ear, joint disorders, neck tumors, blood vessel disorders, and then other chronic conditions.
Right.
But so my sister-in-law was the one like talking about tinnitus and stuff like that, but she also has like chronic like ear problems that she's
Mhm.
going to have to get ear tubes. And I'm just curious, like I went to the doctor a while back because my neck was hurting and my ear was hurting, and they told me that I had an ear infection, and I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I might, and then she looked in my other ear and she had she in the ear that wasn't hurting, and she said I had an ear infection in that ear also. And I was like, but I don't even feel anything in this ear. And she's like, do you get a lot of ear infections? And I was like, I don't know. I don't really like normally check it out. But like, I'm just wondering if maybe it's because I get a lot of ear infections and don't realize it.
That could be as well, especially if you have sinus infections. Sinus infections can become ear infections, especially if you blow your nose, because a lot of times you blow too hard and you're actually blowing
Your eardrum, yeah.
through your ears. Yeah. So,
Blowing out the wrong part of your sinus. Yeah.
right. And so,
I get 'em
there's
all
all
the
kinds of
time.
things there. So,
So it might be just like underlying causes of ear
Right.
infections.
well,
yeah.
and it depends too on whether you have the tinnitus in one ear or both ears. Because obviously some of the things like a change in your bones of the ear or something like that, they're only going to give you that sound in one ear, whereas other things can cause it to happen in both
Yeah,
ears.
I guess I've
So-
had it just like I just have it so much that I'm used to it.
right.
So I'm
I've had
just
it
wondering
since I was
if
a kid, I think. So.
like I have chronic ear infections like my sister-in-law does, because she was always complaining of tinnitus, but and she has chronic ear infection. So I'm just wondering if what I'm having is just an ear infection a lot.
Right. It could be.
So I'm gonna have to like write that down and study it and
Ooh, and log it with your
log
migraines
it. Yeah,
too.
log
Yeah.
it along
That
with
could
my
be-
migraines.
That could be causes of your migraines, even,
It could
or be
like,
related to your migraines. Yeah.
And I hadn't even thought about it that way. So yeah, I'm gonna have to. Y'all have kind of inspired me to pay more attention to that, and maybe talk to a doctor.
Yeah. I know, like, that's definitely something I want to think about, like, because that's really annoying. It makes it hard to
It's
sleep.
actually been something that's bothering me, and I know we're totally off the subject of the nighttime routines now, but that it's
Well, it
something
has to do with sleep. So.
it's something that bothered me for a long time, especially after reading more information about it playing a part in dementia, and as we know and we've discussed, my mother has dementia, so and she has had ear infections and other things like that. So, I'm curious about that. So it's definitely something to check out.
My other new curiosity is my sciatic nerve has been hurting me in the morning versus at nighttime. Used to, it would be like when I'd go to sit down in my chair at nighttime to watch TV, but now it's when I wake up. It's what's waking me up in the morning. And it's obviously something that's happening while I'm sleeping, my sleep position or something.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting, Young. Mine doesn't.
Yeah,
Mine bothers me like during the day at
Oh,
work.
yeah. While you're standing all day.
Yeah.
So mine is, I've gotten to this point now where I'm like, maybe one of those pillows, because I know some people say sleep with a pillow between your legs.
Between your knees, yeah.
And every time I try that, it always squishes out and falls out onto the floor.
Well, they have special pillows that are made
I
for
know,
that too.
I need one to like strap to my leg or something. but
It's
might
like
fall
there's
out.
one it's kind of like
I guess it's just
an
really
hourglass sort of
depends
kind of
on
thing where
exactly
your knee goes
where
in
it's
the,
hurting.
the spot between. Yeah.
Like I had to sleep like with when I was getting really bothered with it after the elevator went out at work. I was having to sleep with a pillow under my hip and then another pillow under my knee.
From going up and down the stairs so much. Yeah.
Yeah. It caused a really bad
Yeah.
flare up.
Mine, I think, started with sometime in July, I believe it was. I got, because I go through this cycle, like I get that crick in my neck and then it works its way down until it gets to the sciatic nerve and then it like stays down there for a while. And then after like a month or so, it'll go away, but it takes its way down from my neck all to my shoulders to my back down. And so this one is like settled in my butt.
Well, and that
cheek
could
for a
be
while.
something where, especially if it starts in your neck, as it starts bothering your neck, you adjust your shoulders so that it doesn't hurt your neck. Well, then holding your shoulders in a different position
my hip.
makes your
Yeah.
shoulders hurt. So then you adjust your back so that your shoulders aren't in that position, and then it moves. And
Have you
it
thought
just
about going to a
keeps moving.
chiropractor?
I know.
I tell her that all the time.
Like that has because chiropractor service comes with my insurance and that has been life changing. Because remember when I used to have those bad shoulder problems? Now that I go to the chiropractor like once a month, like I don't have shoulder problems anymore. And Jason also goes to the chiropractor, and he used to have ankle problems. And
Yeah, getting your
Yeah,
bones
it's
aligned
like
is always helpful to me.
so
My back
that
has
might
lots of
be
problems.
that might help. Just
Yeah.
talking about adjusting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
that might
That
help.
usually does the trick. Going in and I'll get like a whole bunch of them in a row. And that will help kind of get me back in alignment.
Until my my chiropractor closed his shop and moved. I was going, like once every 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And
The routines we do in the daytime so we can sleep at night.
Right.
Right.
Well, and
Yeah.
I could tell when it was time for another adjustment. So, and I would hurt in the morning. I was uncomfortable in the bed, or even hurting sitting in my chair. So I need to find another chiropractor, because I do believe in that.
Jason
helped me a
goes to
lot.
the Joint, and they have monthly memberships.
Yeah. I like those. I like that you could just walk into that one without an appointment. But my chiropractor also gave e-stem therapy and traction therapy, and I like that. I think the extra therapy that went with it was
See, that's what
that
my
was
chiropractor does.
That's part of the help that it gives me, is especially with the traction. The traction, helps keep your spine elongated so it's not bunching up. And then the E-stem relaxes those muscles, because every time you move, that alignment a little bit, the muscles have been tight and they're wanting to pull it back to where it was. So getting that E-stem helps relax those muscles so that it'll set where it's at. And that helps me a lot. So
One of the things that I didn't mention earlier, because it's still not like a routine, but it's something I've been doing more frequently at nighttime. This summer, when my neck was really hurting, I had a demo of a TENS unit.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like the best massage without getting a massage. And that actually really helped with my neck. And so I've been using that on sore muscles, and I've been doing that on my sciatic nerve at nighttime. So it's almost like, well, yeah, it doesn't hurt at nighttime because I'm using the TENS unit.
It could
but
be,
then
yeah.
Maybe,
It's the sitting and
wearing
not
off.
moving at night all night long is what makes it start to hurt, because you're not moving. And it may be the position you're laying in.
I sleep
Yeah, I
with
know,
my
I've tried
heating pad
every
sometimes
position.
also. And I take my heating pad with, I have a separate heating pad actually at work in case I need to like heat up my lower back.
But yeah, that's become one of my new, like, recent additions to. I'll just do it for like 10, 20 minutes on like my lower back or my neck or shoulder blades or some area like that. So I've really enjoyed that. That's another good reason to climb into bed a little early.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right. Well, so we've basically talked about like everything nighttime.
Right at this point.
That we have.
So next week we're actually going to we are actually already recorded next week. So it was one that we recorded a while back, maybe a couple months back. But then when we saw the Barbie movie, we were like, "Oh my gosh, we need to do an
Immediately talk
episode
about
on that
this right now.
and
Yeah.
talk about it." So this one kind of got bumped down the list and to a place where we were like, well, we could give up this episode. I don't even remember what it was, but we put this episode next week. So I'm sure on next week's episode, we're like, next week we're talking about, and then we don't. So just beware. And who knows, we may have said happy, Halloween next month or something. I don't know. But so next week we are talking about our all-time favorite books.
Was
Yeah,
it books or
so-
authors?
It was books.
Books, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like tortured Amber and made her tell us what her one only all-time favorite book was, and she didn't give an answer. No, I think she did. but-
Actually,
I made it
didn't.
very
think
Don't
I
give it
might-
away. Don't give
Okay,
it away.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
but
So yeah, you have to tune in to see if I answered or not.
Yeah, we don't
Right.
know. We can't remember.
Yeah, that
Right.
was too
That
long
was a
ago.
while ago.
But yeah, Kristen tortured me to death.
yeah. So really looking forward to listening to that one, because I've been waiting to hear that episode air for like a couple months now. And we do talk about some of our favorite authors and favorite books from our childhood and our adulthood. So make sure you tune in next week. And we would like to give special thanks to Cake Mix Studios and Creative Audio Tech for our recording equipment and our music. And we'd also... What?
You did it backwards.
No, I didn't. I said Cake Mix Studios for our recording equipment. I did that first.
I thought you did.
I said Cake Mix Studio and Creative Audio Tech for our recording equipment and our music.
Sorry. Okay.
Wow.
I'm so used to it. Sorry.
I'm just so used to criticizing people that's all you know.
That is.
So
Yeah.
we'd like
The
to thank
Wicked
our
Witch.
loyal listeners, because without you, she wouldn't have anyone else to criticize. No.
Oh, I do not criticize our loyal listeners.
Except
I
when
only-
she says, why why don't you like us? Leave a comment. Right? No, we all do that.
I'm not
sometimes
criticizing
you
them.
get
I'm
into
begging them.
lecture mode.
I'm begging them.
Sometimes you
Please, please,
lecture the listeners, and you're like, you should do this and do this. Sometimes you get into lecture mode.
We all do.
I'm the crone. What do you think crones do?
Nag.
They teach and they nag.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we do.
So, yes, we'd like to thank our loyal listeners and our readers. I know that the blog has been a little bit sparse lately, but we've got just so much going on. But we appreciate all of you who are listening every week, because we don't ever miss the podcast. But thank you to all of those readers who are stopping by the blog as well at modernmusings.net, and our chat on Facebook too. So definitely go in and check that out, because we do usually have like a poll or something.
Yeah,
up.
vote in our weekly poll.
And that's it. So thank you so much for checking us out this week, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.